On the 21st of December 2020, Folklore Scotland embarked on a journey to create its own podcast to share and preserve Scottish folktales. 6 months and 12 episodes later, it's time to officially launch the podcast. For the first time, contributors from across our episodes have come together for a special launch day episode to reflect on the journey so far. Welcome to the Folklore Scotland Podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome to the official launch of the Folklore Scotland podcast. We've got a special episode this week where you get to see the lovely faces of all of the hosts of the various different groups. So to kick things off, I'm Rebecca.
And I'm David.
I'm Mila.
I'm Roisin.
I'm Graham.
I'm Rosie. And I'm Kathy.
For anyone who doesn't know, Folklore Scotland is a charity that seeks to promote and preserve Scottish folklore through innovative and digital means.
We first started developing the idea of Folklore Scotland in 2018. Myself and Becca had entered a business challenge with an idea to start a storytelling travel app based on folklore, where you travel about Scotland and discover different stories. From that, through consulting with different business advisors and doing a business course over the summer, we began to realise that we could offer a lot more to Scottish folklore, and then took on the form of Folklore Scotland, which now involves saving, promoting and preserving stories in a multiple different medias, including now podcasts. But previously, through our online outlets of written stories, we have done art exhibitions, we have a brilliant team of illustrators, and we've also worked in, there was another thing that I have forgotten. I'm sure if I remember it, we'll come back to it.
Obviously, one of those things was the podcast, which we have up until this point been trialing to see what we could do and what format works best. And that's where our lovely team of volunteers come in. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So Rosie from Rosie and Kathy's team listens to a lot of folklore podcasts, and we thought that it'd be a really good idea to do that as well. So I reached out to the volunteers and just said, does anyone want to get involved in this? And from there, we had such a big uptake that we decided to split it into 2 teams so that everyone could kind of pitch in equally. And we've done about 11 episodes now, I think. 12. We've done 12 episodes so far. So what is everyone's favourite episode that we've done, or that you've been involved with?
I really like the White Ladies episode, and I really want to visit all the sites that we talked about, but my local one is Dundee, and I managed to visit that one last week. So that was the one at Balgay Park.
Well, you want to keep them all in mind for later on, it might pop up in the quiz.
So on the last visit when I went last week, I was walking underneath the bridge. There's a big bridge, you can walk obviously over it, or you can walk underneath and look up. And when I was walking, I kind of thought, it's not really that big a drop. Anybody who's watched the episode knows somebody falls to a really bad fate. I remember thinking, it's not that tall. And I remember writing it on the chat. And the minute I did, my jacket that was tied to my bag unraveled. I felt a little bit threatened in that moment. Nobody about, no wind, no nothing, jacket unraveled. A bit creepy. So I think it's definitely haunted. I didn't see anything, but I definitely felt it.
That was a really fun concept for an episode, because I remember we sat down to talk about local folk tales, and then we realised that 3 of us had brought along stories to do with white ladies, and we were like, this seems to be quite a theme, so we put them all into the one episode.
I quite enjoyed that episode as well, because of like the general bits that Mila said, but also because it was a kind of double bill and we recorded the 2 in the one day, so we had more people in the kind of panel than we would usually have for a full episode, and I quite liked that. It was quite a fun one to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mila. I think the White Ladies is my favorite episode to do. I felt weirdly that was the first podcast that I think we came together as a team really well, and we were all like had great research and great stories to tell, and the discussion part flowed really smoothly. Other than that, I think I'd probably say the Beltane episode was really fun, just because it gave me a chance to write in a way that wasn't just history facts, which is what I'm best at. So I actually wrote something that was a bit more like a narrative.
Yeah, that was good fun. For anyone who's not listened to that one, instead of doing the usual kind of researching a folktale and analysing it, we did like an audio experience where you could experience a Beltane festival, and there was the sounds of fire and stuff, so that was good fun.
I think my favourite one that we did was Rashicoats, the last one we did. There's just a lot to get your teeth into with it, and like there was quite a few sort of aha moments in the research where I could connect the dots, which was very fun.
Yeah, I think also it being based on basically a Cinderella story, we were both really comfortable with it. And I think almost like Roisin said, the discussion just felt like it flowed more easily than it has done in other ones. But I also really liked the first one, the Kalia. I think she's maybe one of the most interesting figures. I'd never heard about her before. And it was also just really exciting to try something new.
The standout moment for me from your guys' end of the podcast is when you called, was it Asifatal Cinderchad?
Yeah, we did do that.
Rosie did that.
We did that.
Can you explain to the listeners slash watchers where that came from? Do you remember?
It genuinely just happened mid-episode. We were talking about the name because I was saying how it made me think of Aschenputtel, which is just Cinderella but in German. And I was saying how weird that was in Scottish Tale, and how I would have expected him to have a different name, maybe to have been anglicized in some way. So Rosie said, how do we feel about the name Cinderchad? Like that. When it was born.
It's the quality content we're here for.
I think my favorite episode was probably like the sister episodes to the White Ladies, where it was like the other half, because initially it was all local tales. So it was good to hear stories from different places, and a better chance to hear things you maybe don't know about. Like David's story from Dumfries. Yeah, Dumfries from that, and I'd never heard it before, and like that was a good one. But also, I just really like the story about Holyrood, the King David and the White Stag. So
that also might come up in the quiz.
I think that's the same as Graham's. I really enjoyed the kind of local folktale element and learn about just people have a deeper connection, I think, with ones from their own region that they've grown up with or heard when they're younger, from rather than having read about in books or whatever. When you're actually physically told these stories, they have, I think, a bit more of an impact. So I really enjoyed that episode.
I think I kind of covered it a little bit, but really probably maybe it was Rashicoats though. I just think it was very interesting to look at that one and then hear about like some of the Irish variants that you talked about, and wasn't there also one from England?
Yeah.
It's obviously for the style of our episodes, what interests us is the comparison and the similarities with other places and where that could have come from and what it might mean to the people who used to tell that. So I think that was the one that we probably feel like we understood the best and had some of the closest comparisons to.
Yeah.
And Becca, what's your favourite one?
Oh, I think mine was the Beltane one, just because it was something so different and it was really fun to edit from that perspective. Because the other ones are fun, but this one, like, I got to put in all the different sound effects and the music and stuff and kind of get creative with it. And I suppose we could touch on the different formats that it takes. So what would we call it again? So the Crannog episodes, which is me, Mila, Roisin, Graham, and sometimes Linley, and then David. We do it more like a panel. So we kind of all bring something like a different folktale, and it's almost kind of like exchanging stories, and then we have a wee chat about them. Whereas Rosie and Kathy do more of a deep dive into one folktale and kind of break it down into all its different elements.
I think that's what I like hearing in your one, that it is so much more give and take, and really, I think it's just nice to hear several different people thinking and talking at once about the same thing. It really opens it up from different angles.
Just opening their mouth and letting their belly rumble.
I really enjoy how we kind of each bring a different perspective. So we each kind of have like a section that we prefer to focus on, and that just melds together really well.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I just like everybody's got a different like storytelling style, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the thing, it's just hearing how other people do it.
And no one else wants to listen to my fun facts, so this is the place to be.
I was going to ask Rosie and Kathy, because I can confirm from our end that there is frequently alcohol consumed in the recording of our episodes. Between
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fine examples on screen right
now. Is there ever any alcohol in the creation of Into the Greenwood?
There, I think for the first
Yeah.
maybe 2 episodes, we did have some sweet wine in the room, but for the last few, no. We just sat down and did it like mad women.
We want to sound smart, so we have to measure.
Wow. We just want to sound mystical, and sometimes a bit of whiskey can help.
We've started discussing whether or not we ought to be referencing things properly as we speak them. That's how like anxious we're getting about being real podcasters now.
I remember in the first one, I think it was the Winter Solstice episode, the very, very first episode we did. I must have just been really nervous because I think I went last out of our group, and I tried to read my notes and I was like, it's swimming, the words are moving around. It's not going to end well.
I remember that. That was a good episode.
Yeah,
It was
funny.
like the very first, because we didn't know what to expect, and it somehow just still came together really well.
Because I wasn't there, is that?
Exactly.
Were you not there in the first one, Graham?
I don't think so. Was I?
I don't think you were.
No, I don't think I was. No.
Were you there for Burns Night?
No, I wasn't.
No.
No, because I was sitting there thinking, God damn it, I love Tua Haggis. Like, and I remember I missed it. I was like, God damn it.
Next year. Okay, so we're starting to run out of time on the Zoom call, so I'm just going to charge ahead with the quiz to test everyone's knowledge on how well they listen to the podcast. David's not allowed to answer any questions because he can literally see the answer in front of me right now.
Which is very good because I didn't do great on some of these.
The first question is, what was the pilot episode of the Folklore Scotland podcast?
Winter solstice.
Winter solstice.
Question 2, where did the 3 white ladies from episode 6 haunt?
St
Dundee.
Andrews.
St Andrews. Yeah.
Oh,
Does anyone know the exact places?
Clay Pots, Balgay Park, and St Andrews Castle.
The cathedral.
Cathedral.
Oh,
close.
start with a C.
This is a question from a Rosie and Kathy episode. What chant did Wapiti Stewry use to cure the good wife sow?
You read the story out.
I can give you a clue. It was about holy water.
Holy water.
Yeah. Okay, this is one, if you pay any attention to David discourse, this is one of his favorite things to moan about. What is the difference
I
between
wouldn't say moan.
okay, this is
I already know what the question is before you even ask it.
this is one of David's favorite things to advocate on. What is the difference between a Yushka and a Kelpie?
One haunt, if that's the right word, rivers, and one's lochs.
That's the
Yeah.
main kind of.
And there's also something about their farm. The farm is
Ishka is a water horse, and
Yeah.
a kelpie turns into a man. sometimes.
Yes, Rosie gets the point. If we were doing points, and Graham gets another point for the first half. There we go.
Are you happy?
I am happy.
Question 5, what did the wizard in Asipattle and the Mester Stirworm suggest would appease the Stirworm?
Oh, just killing, like offering up 7 virgins at first, and then the princess. Classic.
Yeah.
I know, it's such a phony wizard answer, isn't it? Like, I don't really know what to do. Just take some virgins, look for some virgins, chuck them in, see what happens.
Research in the meantime, like just
Yeah.
Question 6. Beltane celebrates 2 key mythical figures, the May Queen and Whomst.
Green Jackman. Can't remember his name.
You added in Jack. All
pretty
you
much.
needed was Green Man.
Or it could also be Jack in the Green. So
Okay, so it's a version of those 3 words.
Question 7. Episode 10 was about a merman, but what aquatic creature did the main character turn into?
I'll give you a hint. It was set in Orkney. That'll give you an idea with what sea creature it's probably going to turn into.
Is it a Selkie?
technically a rowan, I think.
A fish.
That yep, that reveals that I did not listen well because I said a seal. So
I don't seal.
Really.
Well, I said Selkie, which is Arcadian for seal.
Yeah.
How did the Laird of Balmachi contend with the changeling he found in his wife's bed?
Chucked it in the fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way you do it.
And then he flew up the chimney.
Yeah, the way you do with anybody you're not sure if it's your wife or not.
I think that's what your wife does when she finds it's not her. Chambers.
Question 9. In the story of Rashi Coats, our heroine wore 3 garments of 3 different materials. What were they made of?
Gold, feathers, and rushes.
Yep.
What?
Question 10. What was the name of the abbey that appeared on the site where King David met the White Stag?
I was going to say something, but it's wrong. I don't want to embarrass myself.
I mentioned about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, it's a Holyrood.
Holyrood.
Yep.
I was right.
And with less than a minute to go on the Zoom call, that's our quiz.
Very well done.
Woo.
We're obviously all experts on our own podcast. Got like half an answer each.
So I just kind of wanted to finish up the little launch episode by kind of highlighting some dates for people to expect things on. So obviously this is the 21st of June. So on the 28th of June, you can expect the first Campfire Tales episode, which will just be a little short story one. On the 5th of July will be the first episode of the Crannog, which is our panel-based one. On the 12th of July, there'll be another Campfire Tales episode. And then on the 19th of July, the 19th of July will be Rosie and Kathy's Into the Greenwood episode. And then it will just continue in the same order from there. So everyone can look forward to that.
It's been a pleasure.
It has.
Yeah.
It will continue being a pleasure.
Yes, very much.
Cheers to the Folklore Scotland podcast, and we'll see everyone soon.
Zoom has a very liberal idea of a minute, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.